nature. While formal rules of evidence do not apply, fundamental due process will be observed. Everyone with a case today will have the opportunity to present testimony. You may present evidence or call witnesses to testify on your behalf. Please note that there is no public comment portion during code enforcement hearings. To speak on a specific case, you must either be the respondent or a witness called to testify. Everything said today will be recorded. All testimony will be given under oath. When you are sworn in, please state your name and provide your current mailing address so we have an updated record for sending any orders. The city will present its case first. Information may be displayed on the screens and documents may be provided by the city as evidence. The city's PowerPoint presentation will also be entered into evidence unless there are objections. After all evidence and testimony have been presented, I will make a ruling. My ruling will be reduced to writing and mailed to you. At this time, I'll swear in all witnesses. If you intend to testify for your case, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated. Go ahead, move to the minutes from last month's code enforcement hearing. I actually did see a few minor typos. If we can make a couple changes, I think on the first page, it notes that the March hearing minutes were approved by Special Magistrate Fong. It should be me, obviously, since I did it. And then on the last page, just a tiny typo for the very last one. It just says, the magistrate may impose a fine in the amount of $100 per day per violation commending June 7th. It should say commencing, that's all. I'll go ahead and approve the minutes subject to those changes being made. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and move to the hearing portion of the agenda. There are several initial hearings. I understand these are all business tax receipt matters. We'll do things a little bit differently, if that's okay with you. Instead of having Officer Jim and Officer May go back and forth, I think you have a couple and she has a couple. If you just want to come up, do all yours, provide all the information, and she can do the same thing. And at the end, in the exercise of efficiency, I'll give the kind of the findings all together. But I'll list out each one specifically when I do. It might make it more difficult when putting the minutes together, but as opposed to reading the same script. I mean, it's all the same for each of these. So
Right, and again, these won't have a second hearing. These are one and over.
okay, all right. So is someone coming or?
Possibly, let me double check.
Okay. Oh. All right. So I guess Officer May is first. Yeah. Do you want to go? Let me know which ones on the agenda are yours, if you don't.
All right. So it's going to be case 25-35, Walkabout Ministries.
Mm-hmm.
Case 2590, Revive Exterior Cleaning. And 25-104, Christ Community Presbyterian Church.
All right. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure I put this aside. Sorry, my hands are really dry because of the rain, so trying to. All right, you can go ahead.
Okay, so our first case is going to be 25-35 Walkabout Ministries. The violation address is 801 Orange Street. I do have three exhibits to submit. The first is the affidavit and notice of violation. The second is the affidavit and notice of hearing. And the third is the cost recovery statement in the amount of $146.14.
Thanks, sir. Mm-hmm. What?
So I guess what information would you like? Do you want,
I'm curious if you've had any communication with them whatsoever, any attempt by them to contact you, or?
yes. So I've been working with one of the directors, Dustin Sands. The last contact was on or about the 25th of April. They had submitted an updated BTR application to address some of the planning issues the planning department had pointed out. I did confirm that the last review by the fire inspector was completed this morning. But they are operating apartments at this time without a BTR being
Okay.
issued.
All right. I mean, yeah, we received all these documents beforehand. I did take a look at them prior to, and everything does appear to be in order. So, unless there's anything else specific or unique to this, we can move on to the next one.
I just need to double check the amount that's, the total amount due for the BTR fees are going to be $75 versus the $50 that was in the recommended action for you.
Let's change it to 75.
Yes, sir.
It'd be $50 fire inspector and $15 application fee, so it's 60.
I'm sorry, 65. I apologize.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm waiting for the fire inspector to do their approval for this. They said they were out there today. I'm assuming the fire fee would be $50. I don't know what the fire fee is yet at this time without their approval, what their inspection fee will be. It's usually $50 or $100.
Okay.
And the $15 application fee,
Okay.
they are exempt from having the.
So what
paying
is the city's recommendation then, to enter an order now for 65 at that amount, or?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, great, thank you. Okay. You want to move on to 2590?
2590, Revive Exterior Cleaning, 835 Cleveland.
Thank you.
So on this one, I have spoken with both the owner of the business, Nicholas Urbano, as well as Nicholas's father, to follow up on what they needed to do. Both have indicated the business is active, though there may be a address change coming, but as of right now, all of the state documents reflect that 835 Cleveland Street, and the business is active.
Okay. Nothing further on that one, okay.
And finally, this is 25-104, Christ Community Presbyterian Church, 4295 Garden Street.
Thank you.
My last contact was with the Assistant Pastor Steve concerning the fire fee that's owed. It is $100 that is owed for the fire fee only. They are exempt from all other costs for BTRs.
You just haven't paid?
They, what I understand, when they sent in the check for the fire fee, they added a late fee, which is not required on the fire fee that's due, and the check was returned, but Miss Lori Roberts can answer those questions a little bit better.
Yeah, sure.
Your
Go ahead.
Honor, we did receive a $125 check that we weren't able to accept.
Okay.
We sent it back in a letter letting them know that they only owed $100. I believe the letter is dated in March.
Okay, all right, sounds good. But so the recommendation is still that 128.53 plus $100 though, in total?
Correct.
Because the 125 couldn't be cashed, or? Okay.
Correct. They can't accept overpayment.
I see, okay, All right, thank you. All right, Officer Jim, what do we got?
Did you want the affidavits, or you said you had the affidavits?
They send it to me ahead of time, so I generally have it anyway, but if
Up
you
to
have them
you.
all, you can give it to me. Helps, I mean, it's not a big deal.
The first one I have is 2538
Mm-hmm.
Palmetto Ridge Estates. And I have the affidavit of violation, affidavit of hearing, and the cost reimbursement. This is an apartment complex. I went to the office, made them aware twice, including giving the posting about the violation notice. They were supposed to send it to corporate. As of today, they still haven't gotten anything. So it'd be the city cost of $146.14, and they owe $1,468 for a total amount of $1,614.44 due on the BTR renewal.
Okay.
And the next one, 2550, United Christian Fellowship. Same thing, I have the notice of violation, affidavit, violation of hearing, and the cost reimbursement recovery. Thank you. This is a church, same thing, the cost affidavit is $146.14. They owe $50 for the fire fees for a total of $196.14. I've had no contact with them. I know the postings, after I did the postings and everything, they've been removed, so someone had taken them.
Okay. 2551.
I have 2551. Infinity Affairs. Oops. Sorry. This is Infinity Affairs venue, 3550 South Washington. I have the notice of violation, notice of hearing, and the cost recovery. The cost is $146.14 for our recovery. They owe an outstanding $254.75 for the BTR for a total of $400.89 due. When I did the posting, I talked to the management. They haven't had any contact with the business. They don't even know if they're still in business, but all their equipment and everything's still inside the suite that they're renting.
Okay.
And next one is 2565.
Mm-hmm.
LBJ Services. This is a landscape company, 60 North Christmas Hills. Have the violation, notice of violation, notice of hearing, and the cost recovery affidavit. They owe $68.25 for the BTR, and the city cost of $181.36 for a total of $249.61. I actually had contact with them, informed them of the violation of the BTR while I was dealing with other violations on the property. Posted the property and everything, and just haven't heard anything back from them as far as renewal.
Okay.
The next one here, 2567, which is Nicole's Appliances. I have a notice of violation, notice of hearing, and the cost affidavit. This one has the city cost of $216.58 and the BTR amount. What is it?
XXX.
He is, Your Honor, he is operating without a business tax receipt. That hasn't been approved by staff at all, planning department, building department. So I don't even know what the fees would be at this time without those approvals. He is operating the business without the business tax receipt. I'm not really sure what the fees will be.
Is this something that occurs on occasion, or has this happened before, or how do you usually deal with that? I'd hate to enter an order saying that it's subject to change depending on the amount.
Well, Your Honor, if you could just, is it possible to assess the fine for operating without the business tax receipt for the code violation and not assess the fees for the business tax receipt at this time?
We're just at the business tax receipt right now, so I think, yeah, that's the only thing I can.
there is a code requirement that states that a business tax receipt is required, and this business does not have one and is operating without one, which is what the development specialist has attested to. And so it would be that code requirement to obtain that receipt that has not been met, which would be ordering the business to come into compliance by a set date in the future, and then bringing them back for a Massey hearing in the future.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm gonna set this one aside. This one sounds like I have to do a little bit of a different ruling on this than some of the other ones, but
Yeah,
Alright.
this one, if you need to know, this apparently has been going on for years with that place. not
Okay.
Having a business
Alright.
tax receipt. And I have 25-113, Quantum Construction. I have the notice of violation, notice of affidavit, and the notice of hearing for today. The city cost is $163.75, and the tax receipt is $307.12 that is due, for a total of $470.87. Other than the postings, I've had no contact with this company. I do know that when I checked Sunbiz this morning, as of April 30th, 2025, they renewed their state license, and it has that same address of White Sands.
okay.
And the last one, 25-127, Show Enough Sugary Cakery at 839 Gibson. The city cost is $128.53. The BTR fee that is due is $136.50 for a total of $265.03. When I went to the Gibson Street address, I did talk to a gentleman who said it was his niece's business, and he would provide her the information. When I looked this morning, I did see that there was a renewal done through Sunbiz as well on April 11th for that business, with a different address on David Street, 2165 David, but she should have been notified as well.
Got it. All right.
That should be all we have.
Yes, sir. Okay, 1 second. Let me organize here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and issue the ruling on all of them except for 2567 kind of conjointly, just because it's going to be the same for all of them. For the record, I have accepted and considered documentary evidence, including photos, well, not photos, sworn testimony relating to matter from city staff. I find that the following respondents are the owners of the following properties: Walkabout Ministry, Inc. at 801 Orange Street, Palmetto Ridge Estates at 1202 Prairie Lane, United Christian Fellowship at 609 Dummett Avenue, Infinity Affairs Venue at 3550 South Washington Avenue, Suite 16, LBJ Services LLC at 60 North Christmas Hill Road, Nicole's Appliances by Danny at 3304 South Hopkins Avenue, Revive Exterior Cleaning at 835 Cleveland Street, Christ Community Presbyterian Church at 4295 Garden Street, Quantum Construction at 2050 White Sands Drive, and Show Enough Sugar's Cakery at 839 Gibson Street.
Sir,
Yep.
you mentioned Nicole's Appliances. I didn't
Yeah.
know if you want to do that separately.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Nicole's Appliances. Sorry, I just kind of kept reading. Scratch that. All right, all of them except Nicole's. I find that all required notices were provided in accordance with Chapter 163 Florida Statute and City Code, and notice was met for this hearing. Based on the evidence presented, I find that each of these properties have violations of Section 11-31 of the City Code, which is regarding business tax receipts and/or fire inspection. Respondents were given a reasonable amount of time to correct the violations, but either have failed or refused to do so. The corrective actions for these violations shall be to pay their business tax receipts and as well as the costs incurred by the city. So let me just read each of those out for the record so we have it. And that's just going to change up the order, but whoever's drafting the minutes, I hope you got. Walkabout Ministry is going to be assessed I have to do math. So $146.14 for the city's cost, plus an additional $65, which would take us to a total amount of $211.14 for the business tax receipt renewal. Okay. Revive exterior cleaning will be assessed city's cost of $146.14 and $136.50 for a total amount due of $282.64. Christ Community Church will be assessed the city's cost of $128.53 and an additional $100 for a total of $228.53. Palmetto Ridge Estates, the city's costs are $146.14 with an additional $1,468 for a total of $1,614.44. United Christian Fellowship, city's costs are $146.14, an additional $50 for a total amount of $196.14. Infinity Affairs venue, city's costs again are $146.14 with an additional $254.75 for a grand total of $400.89. LBJ Services, city's costs are $181.36 with an additional $68.25 for a total of $249.61. Quantum Construction, $163.75 for the city's costs and an additional $307.12 for a total amount of $470.87. And finally, Show Enough Sugars with $128.53 for the city's costs and $136.50 for a total amount of $265.03 for the business tax receipt renewal. Usually don't give them time to correct the violation. Let's just do immediately, right? So those, all the aforesaid amounts are due immediately. Respondent shall pay and notify code enforcement, who shall then confirm the status of violation. Further and future violation of the same sections shall be classified as a repeat violation. A certified order may be recorded for each of these matters in the public records of Brevard County. It is so ordered. The one I set aside, accidentally mentioned earlier, 25-67, Nicole's Appliances. Let's go ahead and rule on that as well. I've accepted and considered documentary evidence, including photos or including sworn testimony relating to this matter from city staff. I find that respondent Nicole's Appliances by Danny is the owner of the property of the address of 3304 South Hopkins Avenue, Titusville, Florida, 32780. I find that all required notices were provided in accordance with Chapter 163, Florida Statute and City Code, and notice was met for this hearing. Based on the evidence presented, I find that violations of Section 11-31 of the City Code, which is regarding business tax receipts and fire inspection, exist upon the property, and respondents were given a reasonable amount of time to correct the violations, but either failed or refused to do so. We find that the business is operating without a business tax receipt at all. The corrective action, obviously, will be to obtain that properly, and also the city has incurred costs in the amount of $216.58. Such amounts shall be included with this order. Respondents shall be given until, well, we won't be having another hearing for in June, so should we give them 60 days, or do you want to just, what would the city recommend?
Well, we will have a hearing June 9th.
Oh, right. Ryan will have to do it. That's right. I won't be there. Yes, June 9th. All right. So 30 days, is that what the city will
Yes, sir, June 9th.
Okay. Respondents shall be given 30 days to correct the violations. Respondents shall be responsible for notifying the code enforcement officer of completion of such corrections, who should then confirm the status. If respondent fails to correct the violation by June 9th, a fine will be entered in the amount of $100. Does that sound fair? Or that's...
I was thinking 200 considering he's consistently not had a BTR.
Okay.
I think 100 is reasonable.
Well, I'm going to say 200. A fine will be entered in the amount of 200 if the property, if it's not brought into compliance. Further and future violations of the same section shall be classified as a repeat violation. A certified order may be recorded in the public records of Brevard County. It is so ordered.
Yeah.
I think that's it for all of these, correct? So all we have left is, I think, manager's report, if there's anything?
No report. We look forward to seeing you back in July.
All right, thank you. So then we are adjourned.